After his basketball career, Kobe Bryant was becoming a successful businessman, applying the same focus and principles that made him one of the most successful players in the history of the sport. Kobe became a frequent speaker at many business events, where he talked about his transition to the business world. A year after his tragic death, his words remain relevant and represent business and life lessons for new generations of athletes and businessmen.
We talk about this often, and we always talk about the fact that you can learn a lot more from the failures than you can from the successes. And you have to figure out where those landmines are, and then how to best avoid those, or help entrepreneurs, and ourselves included, figure out the clues of where those landmines are. Not that you're going to avoid all of them,
right?
But it's also, when you do step on one, figuring out, okay, how do you recuperate? How do you balance back and pick yourself up? But as an athlete, the most important thing is to stay away from things that I don't understand. You know what I mean? Just stay away from it. You have people that understand it and people that you trust, and you build that relationship. Jeff and I have been working together for 4 years. And we started in a very patient, very small manner, and just built our trust as time went on. But as athletes, we got to stay away from things that we don't get, dude. Like I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, I sit in the office and read balance sheets all day. I don't do that. I don't have the mental stamina to do that.
You just, you self-assess. You say, okay, what am I comfortable doing? What can I do?
Right.
And what can I do?
Right.
And then you do what you can do and don't do what you can. Right. And it's really that simple.
Yeah.
And it's being able to honestly self-assess, which I think is the most important thing. Not being afraid to say, okay, I can't do that like I used to.
Sure.
It's fine. Right? Just focus on the things that you can control, focus on the things that you can do well, and master those.
I've never doubted such a strange thing. I mean, it's, there'll be times where you succeed and there are times that you fail. So wasting your time doubting whether you're going to be successful or not is pointless. It is. I mean, you just put one foot in front of the other, you control what you can't control, and then you see what the outcome is, right? If you win, great. You're going to have to wake up the next day and do the journey over again. If you lose, it sucks, but you're going to have to wake up the next day and do the journey all over again anyway, right? So it's really pointless to sit here and debate or have doubt or this, that, and the other. You train as hard as you can, and you step out there and you let it flow.
I think it's don't compromise the art.
Right.
Right, don't settle. You do things at the highest level possible. Try to get maximum potential from whatever it is that you're accomplishing. You don't settle for anything less than that.
Right.
Right, you try to get things as perfect as you possibly can get them. And you don't say, nah, this is good enough. I'm fine with this. No. Never settle. You always strive for the best, always, to play the game at a high level. But I always viewed myself as being the last guy on the bench, and because I've had to work for it. Nothing was given. I was a scrawny kid growing up, smaller than everybody else. I had to fight and work for everything. And so I've always wanted to keep that mindset. So a person that's had the tools but worked as if he had none.
Right.
For me, it was simple. It's competition. I just want to go out there and kick some butt. And I want to do it over and 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 over.
Right.
So it wasn't a matter of, we won this year. This is great. This is awesome. No, we won this year, but there are other teams out there that did not win. So while I'm sitting here on vacation and enjoying this championship we just won,
right,
there's a player in the gym that's extremely upset that they did not win, and they're coming after you.
Yes.
Right? So let me enjoy this vacation for a minute, and I'm going to get right back to it. Right? So it's always the next thing. Always. Where you're not thinking about things that you've accomplished. You're thinking about the next thing.
Of course.
Right? So my mind was already there, much like Derek's. It's the next thing. Retiring from this game, I'm ready to move on to what's next.
Yes.
Right? You cut the ties, you thank the game, thank the fans, et cetera, et cetera. But now let's go.
Cool. I mean, it's I think you have to challenge yourself to evolve and to grow. And I couldn't think of a better message for, athletes in particular, because it's very easy for us athletes to kind of lose ourselves and our identity by connecting who we are to what we do. And I think that's a very dangerous zone to be in, right? So it's common sense to me to be able to say, okay, the next stage I'm going after with the same intensity, the same attention to detail, the same curiosity, So of course I'd want to be better at that than I was in my previous career. We're going to find out, right? I mean, that's the thing. You go for it and you do all you can. You learn as much as you can. You continue to try. You continue to improve. You continue to evolve. And then you can see who you are, right? 20 years from now, I can look in the mirror and say I gave it my best shot, and we did the best we could, and see where we end up. It's hard to say that because I can only remember a life that involved basketball. Like I literally started playing at the age of 2 years old. So everything came from the game, right? So I was introduced to creative writing and marketing and all of these things through the game of basketball. So I couldn't even begin to imagine what life would have been like had I not had that ball.
Right.
Because everything grew from that. It just so happened that my passion is what this city is known for. And it just kind of fell into it. The thing that you lose is that instant gratification, right? When you play a game or you train, you see immediate results, right? You see that right there. I worked on pull-up jump shot going left. I could see the results that night, right? And the business world is different. You have to have the patience. You have to find beauty in the process of building something, and find beauty in the journey, and understand that the end result is not really the most beautiful part of it. And so It's having that patience that I think is the biggest difference between the two. And so when we look at deals, he'll bring them to me. We'll go through them in detail, and then I'll start formulating in my mind where the story of this company goes. Right? What's the trajectory of this company from a public standpoint? What can they communicate? What services are they providing that connect to the human nature of us all? How can you connect those dots? And that's what I really love doing. Try to help put entrepreneurs in the best possible situation to be successful. That's all it is. And it starts with the entrepreneur, and it's them having a vision of how they can make the world a better place. I mean, I'm sure we've heard that ad nauseum, right? But if they have that passion first, and if the product that they're creating has a true purpose for existing in the world, you got to start there. And we just want to help them be successful. Well, for Kobe Inc., what we're trying to do is help people reach their maximum level of potential. And storytelling is obviously it's an extremely overused word. It's probably two words that are really running neck and neck in terms of overuse, and that's big data and storytelling, neck and neck. But what we want to do with our stories is we want to be able to have the viewer internalize the story. Can we bring out compelling content that moves you in a certain way, where you see yourself through the lens of the story that we are creating? And if we can do that at Kobe Inc., we'll be very, very happy. There's certain things that we want to get to, but we have to pace those out because we have to have absolute focus on a few of those things, right? The Bryant Stibel Fund and the stories that we are creating, right? I mean, those are our two lenses right now. There are other things that are going to come, but that's way down the road. We have to have a very, very sharp lens because we can do so many things. I mean, that's the hardest part when we first started. It is, you have so many people coming from different angles and different points of view, and you can do this, you can do that, and a lot of them are very lucrative offers, but they're small window opportunities. And the hardest part's been pushing those to the side and going for things that have a much, much longer tail. Which is risky, but what are you going to do? The stories have to be good, right? So you can have access to a lot of people. You can sit and get on the phone with anybody, but if the idea isn't there, if the core of the story isn't there, the characters aren't there, nobody's going to do business with you. Right. You'll wind up having a lot of meetings, right? And nothing gets executed. Right? So it all comes back to the truth of the story, and is the story good enough? And if it is, then I'm sure we'll be doing business. It's funny, it's not, for us, we're flooded with requests every single day, right? And a lot of the times it's relationships. Jeff will know this entrepreneur, will know this person. So a lot of it's relationships and understanding the people that you trust and people that vouch for a certain entrepreneur. And then we start there, and then we just start talking. right? What is your vision for this particular company? Esports is like, you know, we're talking about esports virtually every single day. And I'm sure there's a move to be made there, but we're just being very patient right now, letting the dust settle and then figure out what the best move to make. I think it's the communication and the working with groups of people. I mean, that's always the most important thing. I mean, that's how you win championships. I mean, you take guys with a team that have completely different backgrounds, you know, from different parts of the world, different religious beliefs, different political beliefs, and you put them all on one team and say, okay, you guys have to get on the same page and figure out how to win a championship, right? So figuring out how to navigate that and how to speak to the whole while speaking to individuals is, I think, the thing that carries over the most into the business world. It's been amazing. You know, I'm notorious for just cold calling people, man. You know, I just pick up the phone, call them up, and let's just talk. You know, there's nothing in particular. I just want to talk and just, you know, explain to me how you see your business. You know, how do you operate the business? You know, Johnny Ives in particular. I mean, it's just fascinating. His process of creating design. And when I was playing, when I did that, I used to try to connect the dots between how John Williams would compose a score for a film, or Johnny Ives would design a new Apple product, and how does that connect to how I play the game of basketball? Is there something there that I can learn that can be used when I step out here on the court? I mean, there's lessons that surround us. I mean, life is basically a library. You know, all we need to do is just open our eyes and look and ask and read accordingly. But yeah, no, I'll do a lot of research. I'll read and I'll just kind of, you know, sit there and watch a lot of docs and just try to learn as much as I can. And, you know, if I'm watching something and all of a sudden a question pops in my head, I have to know the answer. I have to know. I can't just say, okay, I have this question and just kind of let it go. No, I need to know. Right. You know, so I'll call.
Well, I mean, the hardest part for that has been trying to figure out what comes next. You know, it used to terrify me at 20, 21 years old, looking at athletes who've retired and really have nothing to go to. You kind of try to figure it out. Like you retire and you say, okay, I got to figure things out. And I didn't want that. You know, so at the age of 20 and 21, I started really reading a lot and trying to like find what do I love to do. And, you know, I was fortunate but unfortunate to have these injuries, you know, with the Achilles, the shoulder, and the knee. I say fortunate because it gave me a lot of time to think. It gave me a lot of time to sit. It gave me a lot of time to say, man, my career could be over right now. And all of this work that you've done, trying to figure out what comes next, you're unprepared for. Right? I didn't want that. So I kept thinking, asking the wrong question. What's the biggest industry I can get into? What industry I can get into that has the biggest upside? Wrong question. And then I started asking, what do you like doing? What do you love to do the most? I love storytelling. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And so that's what I decided to do.
It's such a great company because you know, the truth of Nike's company, as told by Phil Knight, is to listen to the voice of the athlete. Right? And it just so happened that I had an itch for marketing and story as related to advertising and the products and the innovation and then how that connects to the story of the athlete. And so I was able to start storytelling and building out the campaigns. And started writing quite a few of them and then just started building them year by year, year by year. And so that's where the itch came from. So it started when, you know, very, very early, writing stories, and you know, I never thought like I'd actually be doing this. Right. You know? But you know, life will surprise you sometimes.
You know, it's you know, storytelling gives you such a broad lens. You know, but the opportunities that you have in media and technology, the opportunities that you have to entertain and educate are endless. I mean, literally, story is the seed of everything. It's the seed of everything. None of us would be sitting in this room right now without the power of story, because somewhere along the lines, you either read a story, you either heard a story that inspired you, and that gave you that, you know, that dream of accomplishing what it is that you've accomplished. So I think story can literally change the world. And I am extremely fascinated by that. And even beyond that, storytelling through sports. What does that look like? You sit there and, I'm sure a lot of us have, many of you have kids at home that play sports. You tuck your kids in the bed, you read them a book. What sports book are you going to read to them that touches fantasy, right? That touches the imagination, that adds mythology to it? There are no stories out there like that. And I'm really, 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 really excited about bringing that to the world. The day of the last game, after the game, I got a lot of questions about what this day was like, and I woke up, took the kids to school, went to the office, and sat there and wrote stories, edited stories, till 4:30. 4:30. Went home, changed, went to the game. Woke up the next morning, went back to the office.
It's the truth of the company, it's the truth of the athlete. What is the truth of the story? Right? It starts there, man. It starts there. It's not trying to say, okay, I'm going to create an idea that's never been created before, or let's use our imagination to come up with something that the world has never seen. That's not it. It's not it. It's what do you want to build? What does your company stand for? And how do you think you can make a dent in the world? Right? And then once you start from that truth and understanding who you are, then from that, the idea will emerge. But you can't, I don't believe it can be flipped. I'm sure it happens sometimes and imagination strikes and all of a sudden something comes. But that'll be fleeting as well. But if you start with the truth and the idea comes from that, then that's when you have something that lasts forever.
These are choices. Like I made a conscious choice to go after my passion obsessively. Like, it's a conscious decision. So it's not like, you missed out on that, you missed out on that. Like, no, I made a choice to consciously miss out on those things because I'd much rather be here. My point, it's not a sacrifice to me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a sacrifice. Like, this is my choice. Like, I'd rather do this. Like, if you put a bowl of ice cream in front of the kid and a plate of broccoli, the kid's probably going to eat the ice cream, right? And so to me, the game is the ice cream. To some people on the outside, all this hard work looks like broccoli. It's all perspective. I talk to my kids about hard work and stuff, and I say, honey, you can either be the lion or you can be the gazelle. Nature needs both. All right? So you got to have hardworking people, you have to have lazy people. It's the balance of all things, right? So I'd much rather you be the lion. But if you want to be the gazelle, honey, be the fastest gazelle in the world, I think it starts with understanding yourself and understanding what your fears and insecurities are, and then being okay with those, not projecting them on others. And once you understand the self, then you can understand others and look at their journey and have a great amount of empathy for whatever it is that they're going through, right? If a certain action of an employee is counterproductive to the direction you're trying to go as a company, you have to ask yourself, okay, why? Right? What is the core of it? Right? The action is simply an end result of something else.
Of course.
And as leaders, it's our responsibility to understand them, to know them, and then figure out what those triggers are, and then figure out the best way that we can aid them along their journey.
Beautiful.
Curiosity. I think curiosity is the most important thing. I mean, it sounds really weird to say, but you mean like leadership lessons. I learned leadership lessons just from walking in the park and just observing nature, and the sun's relationship with nature, and relationship with the moon, and the sun understanding when to be present and when to go away, right? Because as a teammate, it was like, dude, the sun's out all damn long. You're gonna sunburn a hell of a lot of people, right? So if I'm playing this game and I'm on top of my guys for 48 minutes, dude, you're gonna sunburn every single teammate there, right? So there's certain times where it's important for the sun to be present, there's other times it needs to go away, right? And but there are life lessons that surround us at all times, and I've always been extremely, extremely curious about those things.